What's up everyone, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Thanks for stopping by today. Today we're talking about kind of having a fragrance discussion. Probably should do this live, and in fact I will do that very soon. I'll make an announcement as to when I'm going to have a live video like this as a discussion. But today talking a little bit about the business of fragrance and some of the unfortunate things that has to happen for fragrance houses to stay alive and be viable in today's economy and today's fragrance culture. Whether you're an avid collector and you have a passion for fragrance, or whether you're just kind of nominally interested in it and checking fragrances out, it's sometimes easy to forget that fragrance and fragrance culture is actually a business. And sometimes that business model is kind of harsh to the collector or the person interested, and I think this may be one of those days. So when we return, we're going to talk about a popular fragrance by Paco Rabanne and a little bit about the discontinuation process. Got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. It's unfortunate that fragrances have to be discontinued at all, because even if you don't like a fragrance, there's somebody out there that may really like it. It may be their signature scent, or it may be your next signature scent that you haven't discovered yet. But it's always been the way of things that fragrances do eventually get discontinued. So the cycle that typically takes place is that usually when a fragrance is released, it can potentially be discontinued within a 3 to 5 year time frame. And unfortunately, I think that may be the case for one of my favorite Paco Rabanne releases, and that is Pure Excess Night. Pure Excess Night is a wonderful release. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago that it was originally released. It is a gourmand fragrance, very spicy. It's one of the few fragrances that makes use of the note of salted caramel, one of my favorite notes in fragrance because it's just such a great gourmand. A lot of people compare this to Ultramall. I see in terms of quality, side by side, it's kind of like a lateral move one to the other, but Ultramall is a very different, albeit sweet fragrance. This is also sweet. There are some commonalities, but they don't smell exactly the same. So I was kind of saddened. Ashton of Jensen's and I were talking, have been talking actually about Pure Excess. He went on a search for it and couldn't really find very many options in terms of discounters, and the few places that it is showing up, they're asking eBay or Amazon prices for. So we're going to take a look at that today, talk a little bit about the discontinuation process. So let's go ahead and get to searching. I'm going to do some brief searching on the internet to kind of show you the thought process in how to search for whether or not a fragrance is discontinued or not, or to get telltale signs that it's maybe on its way to being discontinued or has been discontinued and not officially announced. A little bit of a fickle and volatile industry because of the way that fragrances work. Their primary concern is, what are we selling retail? What are those figures? And according to whatever those figures say, they may bump a fragrance off the shelf in lieu of a newer release that they know is going to sell better. I'm afraid that's what's happening or has happened with Pure Excess Night. So let's take a look and see how to kind of search to see when a fragrance is being discontinued potentially. Is Pure Excess Night discontinued? Now you're going to pull up a bunch of stuff here. Here's funny, it says if you have Ultramall, this is redundant, but since Ultramall is discontinued now, which it is not. So there's all kinds of misinformation out there. So if you, according to this FragranceX post, you might think, if you took it as gospel, that Ultramall is discontinued. It's not. And they're saying replace it with Pure Excess Night, which is possibly discontinued. So, and if you go down here, it says men's perfume Pure Excess Night, Paco Rabanne. This is an Amazon post, which there's no stock of this. If you click on right here, actually, it says discontinued by manufacturer. But if you go to the post, sorry, this is out of stock. Nowhere on this page does it say it's been discontinued, but it looks like whoever posted it initially indicated that they thought it was discontinued. It's not actually been officially announced that it's discontinued, but it's looking like it probably is. So let's say we'll go to shopping. I'm just going to put Pure Excess Night, and we'll go to shopping and see if we can find it. So here we have a listing, eBay, $224.45. That sure is not a standard discounter or even retail rate. So what? So whomever posted this knows something, right? Here's one, $225. Here's one from Mercari, however you say that, for for 69. If that's a 50 ml bottle for 70 bucks, not the best deal. Mostly we see Pure XS, very few Pure XS Night. That's one indication. Another is to go to Paco Rabanne official website. When you go to Paco Rabanne online, you can go to fragrance, or you can just go to the Paco Rabanne website. Accept all cookies. Give me your cookies. I like chocolate chip or macadamia nut with white chocolate. If you're in the United States, would be US version? No thanks. I want the Euro version. And you plug in Pure XS Night. It is nowhere on their website. And you could go into collections or fragrance. We'll go into fragrance and see if we can physically find it. Of course, they're plugging all of the new ones because that's where the money is. So you scroll down, you've got all this, House of Paco Rabanne, blah, 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 but you're not gonna find Pure XS Night. So that is a big tell right there as to whether or not it is being discontinued or has been discontinued. Hopefully something official will come out. They'll answer my email request as to whether it's been discontinued. So just a few tips there that you guys probably already know, but just wanted to go over that as a refresher. So unfortunately, it does look like that Pure XS Night may be on the chopping block. I'll have to wait on a reply from Paco Rabanne to find out if it has in fact been discontinued. I hope that I still have about 90% of my bottle. I hope that if you have it out there that you have a good bit of juice left, because again, it looks like going the way of the dodo. So, and trust me, I hope to be proven wrong. If you've got some information out there that you want to share about it, please do so. Let's talk a little bit about the business model. Now, I'm not going to go into statistics and numbers like that. I'm not really necessarily a numbers person. I do know a bit about Planogram. Planogram is basically an idea that a business has for where to place product, right? The best strategy in terms of marketing. When you walk into Ulta, you're just walking into Ulta and you have this idea of what you want to go look at. But when Ulta sees you walk in, they have all of these things that they want to direct your attention to. Everything that you see has been strategically planned to be there and for you to see it. So basically, when it comes to designer houses, they are given a certain amount of space. I don't know necessarily what dictates that, probably how big the house is, how much money they have. So they're given a certain amount of space and that's it. The amount that is given is dictated by whatever variables are involved, but they are paying for that space. So if you're a business and you're paying for a space, are you going to put something there that's just nominally selling or maybe not selling at all? No. You're going to put something there, you're going to wait to see how it sells. If it's not doing good, you're going to kick it out of the way and put something on the shelf that's going to do really well. Take, for example, the 1 million line. So you've got 1 million Parfum sitting there, which is a good selling fragrance. But you've got 1 million Royal that just came out and you need more shelf space. You're likely going to, if there's no more space and they're not going to, kick Versace off the shelf to give you that space because they're paying for it as well. You've got that one spot. You're probably going to take 1 million Parfum off and put 1 million Royal there because it's newer. It's more likely going to get more attention, potentially sell more. But if it doesn't, you'll do a switcheroo and you'll replace it. That's just an oversimplification of planogramming, how it works. There's a lot more involved. Obviously, fragrances are a business. Designers want to sell their product. They want you to enjoy it. They have to take all those things into consideration when it comes to discontinuing a fragrance. So you may think a fragrance is amazing. For example, continuing to talk about 1 million. While we were talking, Ashton said 1 million Privé is his favorite of the line, and yet it was discontinued very shortly after it was launched, after it was released. And so just because you personally like a fragrance, that doesn't mean that it's going to continue selling. Whatever the retail numbers show dictate the lifespan of that fragrance. So hopefully Pure XS Night is not being discontinued. All the signs indicate that yes, if it hasn't already been discontinued, that it's very shortly. So that brings into question, what do you do when you find a fragrance that you really like? I recommend that if you find a fragrance that you like, for example, the scent Private Accord by Hugo Boss. If you go search for this fragrance right now, it's really hard to find. This is another one on the chopping block. What Hugo Boss is doing is putting their focus, their attention, and their money on newer releases. And you had the scent Le Parfum, which was released not too long ago, and now they've got the scent Magnetic, the new release. So they're focusing their time, attention, and money on that. This one, although a great fragrance and actually one of my favorite, it's not so much in the spotlight being discontinued. If you find a fragrance that you like, I recommend that you, and when I say that you like, that you really like, or that you want to turn into your signature scent, I recommend buying a backup bottle. Please buy a backup bottle. You will thank me and yourself in the future for using that kind of foresight, because again, you don't know when something is going to be discontinued. Salvatore Ferragamo UOMO line, you know, you've got the original UOMO, you've got Signature, you've got Urban Feel, you've got Casual Life. I have been concerned that these are getting discontinued in the near future. I still feel that way. They are an epic line. I feel like very, very solid line for designer fragrances, very unique, very wearable, very compliment pulling. So these are ones you might want to keep your eye on if you like any of these. If you're like me and you own any of them, your favorite, it might be good to get a backup bottle. But anyway, that's just an example. There are several out there. There again, remember the signs. If it's really tough to find it and you go to the designer's website, the official website that is, and you can't find it there, and then you go to Amazon and eBay and people are selling it for upwards of $200+, that's a good indication that the fragrance is either discontinued or getting discontinued. But let me know your thoughts. What are some fragrances that you're afraid are going to be under the chopping block when it comes to being discontinued? Or some fragrances that are now discontinued that you were really sad to see let go? I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments below. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by to check out today's video and discussion. Again, next time I will do it live, and I'll let you know well in advance when that's going to happen, because the more the merrier that enter the room and share their thoughts. It just makes it a lot more lively. Again, thanks for stopping by. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.